Hi, I'm Dan Orris, and I'm here to show you how to change a hard drive in a desktop computer. Today I'm going to show you the familiar parts with changing out a hard drive. That way when I start talking about the actual changing out of the hard drive, you know which parts I'm referencing and why. To start off, we have a data cable, otherwise known as an IDE cable. This is used to connect to the motherboard and the hard drive and transfer data throughout. The next thing you're going to need to know is the power supply. This is where every component in the computer derives its power. These molar connectors are what we're going to be using to power our hard drive. And lastly, we're going to talk about the physical hard drive itself. This is a small rectangular unit that is used to store information. On the back side is where we click in the IDE cable, data cable, and the molar power connector from our power supply. There's one more thing you need to know about the hard drive before we move on, and we're going to talk about that right now. This is a jumper. In between the IDE connector and the molar power port, there's a jumper. This is how the computer knows which hard drive to use. We're going to use cable select or CS. Every single hard drive has a diagram built onto the side to show you where to place the physical jumper. Here, 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 or here. Right now we have it second from the left, right across the top. Today we're going to be using the Dell Dimension 4550 to change out the hard drive. This casing is very easy to open and is used for several other Dell computers, the Optiplex series being one of those. The easiest way to open it is to use these little buttons on the side. There'll be one on each side. Press them in and lift up. The computer will lift open like a clamshell, hence the name we give it, the clamshell case. Okay, now that we're inside the computer, we're going to familiarize yourself with the parts looking inside the computer. Here we have the power supply, just like I showed you, with our molar power imports coming off of it. Here we have the IDE data cable coming from the motherboard and going straight to the hard drive. Okay, so not all casings are as easy to open as the Dell clamshell series. That's why I used that one to show you at first. But I'm going to take the time now to show you how to open up a different case, a gateway case. This one's a little bit harder, but involves one screwdriver, two screws, and then you're done. First, I'm going to lay it down flat. And I'm going to find the top panel. There are two screws I need to focus on to hold the panel in place. Simply remove these screws. They lie flush along the edge, and they'll be actually put through a lip on the casing. First screw. Second screw. Now you're ready to slide the physical casing off. There's a little handle here for your fingers, and that's the easiest way to do it. Pulling back, slides off. Lifting up, pops up. Pretty much now you're inside the computer just like the other one, and we'll give you a quick inside view. As you can see, it's a little more cramped inside this casing, but everything still is here. You've got your IDE connecting from the motherboard to the hard drive. You've got your power supply supplying the molar power connectors to the hard drive. To replace the case, we fit the top panel on, slide it back the way we pulled it out, and we replace the screws. Once you've located the physical hard drive, now we're going to start taking out the old one so we can replace it with the new one. The first thing you want to do is take out the power cable that I showed you from the beginning from your power supply. This is your white molar power connector, and you simply just pull it out. The next step is to disconnect your data cable, IDE. That comes just as easy. Pull it straight out and let it lie and rest on the bottom. The next step will be removing the physical hard drive. And this is where Dell makes it a bit easier for you. On the sides you see these green panels. I've taken the time to pre-install these before, but what you need to do is take the screws on the side, insert them in, and just place these green panels on the right. This makes it easy to insert in and out, and it makes it so that you can change it very quickly. First thing you want to do is pinch the two ends and pull straight out. That releases the old hard drive to us, and now we're ready to stick in the new one. Once you have the new hard drive in hand, before you replace it into the computer, there's one thing you want to check. That jumper I spoke about earlier, you want to make sure it's in the correct place to be cable select. That lets the computer use the actual IDE cable to decide which hard drive to detect. Now we're going to insert it. What you do is you line up the green panels on the side with the grooves that are built into the metal casing. Simply slide it in, and with the Dell side panels, it just slides and connects in. Once you've made sure that the hard drive is physically secure, you've pretty much done everything when it comes to replacing the hard drive physically. Now we're going to get the IDE and power cables connected so you can actually use it with the computer. Now that we've replaced the physical hard drive, we want to do exactly the reverse of taking out the old hard drive in order to replace every cable necessary. First is the IDE data cable. This simply connects into the first left part, 24 pins across, 2 high. Simply stick it in and make sure it is secure, and you're ready to go. The next thing you want to do is insert the power cable. These Molar connectors fit just in the way they came out. Place in and make sure it's physically snug and it clicks in. As you can see here, I have another open power connector. This doesn't matter, as you can use any power connector that's openly available. The power will derive directly from the power source, and just make sure that the cable and the power are connected. The last thing you want to do is make sure that the other end of the IDE cable is connected into motherboard port. This port looks exactly like the one on the hard drive, other than it's placed on the motherboard. Make sure that the cable is correctly inserted into motherboard and that it clicks in. Now that you've replaced the physical hard drive and made sure all the correct cables are connected, you've pretty much done everything you need to do to replace your hard drive. Lastly, you want to make sure no connectors and cables are in the way, and we want to close the casing. Simply touch down on the top, apply pressure, and make sure that it runs in smooth and clicks in. What you've just seen in this video is the familiar parts with changing and replacing a hard drive in a desktop computer, how to open and close several types of casings, and how to physically change the hard drive and replace every cable that you connect. The only thing that you're not going to get on this video is how to configure it through the BIOS and to get the OS on. That's a whole separate video in itself, and that will come later. Thank you for your time. I've hoped you learned some information here today. This was fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you.